Well, there you go. We're here. Well, I'm here anyway. Well, welcome to Talking Songs again. I have to say I'm enjoying doing this. The biggest problem is actually that we're talking on air before we start, and the problem is we actually start the conversation 20 minutes before we start recording it and sending it out, which we should just say get it up and off, but we don't. So, got some news for what's coming up in the in the near future. We've got. Let's see. Next week we've got Stuart Earle, who's a songwriter from down south. Tim Pourbois is coming on the 11th of August. He's going to be plugging into this from New York. He's got a new album out. The week after, I've got Tom Atter, who'll be talking to me about the blues. Then local hero Liam McClare, great lad, good songs, and Chloe Jones the following week, no relation. And after that, Andy Adams, who will be doing some work with his lady Molly. The 15th, we've got Harry Stafford, who was at one time the keyboard player with the Inca Babes, I can't remember. And then the 22nd of September, we've got Emily Fremgen in, who's a songwriter that I met in New York a couple of years ago. And you can probably hear in the background the sound of dulcet sounds of a cat. That's my rather deaf and shouty cat. And then through into October, I've got George Borofsky coming in, who's a fine songwriter, been around a long time, still doing good stuff. And also, we've not settled a date yet, but I've got Rochelle Kober coming in from Florida. Now, she's a blues singer, player and writer, and she's been I met her in a jam session in Clarksdale and did quite a few songs together, and it was really good lady, great voice, and she's had a couple of Grammy nominations, so knows what she's doing, so that's quite exciting. And today, of course, we've got Mr. Robert Vincent with me, but before I call Robert into the studio, that sounds like he's sitting outside, doesn't it? In the rain. I'm going to play you a tune. And this is called I Knew in That Moment. Sometimes I think too much, I look too hard and I dig too deep. Can't get you out of my mind, can't get no peace. I know I can't forget you, though many years have passed. I can still see your smile, I can still hear that laugh. And I knew in that moment, I knew that's all it could ever be. And I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. I had to let you go, 'cause I knew it wasn't right. I let you walk out that door, didn't even put up a fight. Sad or glad that it happened, either way it was never meant to be. I'd won the big prize that night, but in the end the loser was me. And I knew in that moment, I I knew that's all it could ever be. I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. 10, 20 years later, the memory still lingers on. How can something that felt so right be possibly be looked at as being so wrong? And I knew in that moment, I knew that's all it could ever be. And I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. Yes, and I knew in that moment, I knew that's all it could ever be. And I knew in that moment that the world was only you and me. So, time to introduce Mr. Robert Vincent. Where have you gone? There you are.
Hey.
How you doing?
Bravo. Mate? I'm good. How are you? Bravo, Rowland.
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Looking forward to this. I know we've started the chat already. We'll start all over again now. Now, what do you want to talk about first? What about song? When did you start writing songs?
That's a good question. I think I started writing lyrics to songs when I was a kid, probably in school. Funny enough, I was round at a folks' house the other day, and my mum found some poems that I'd written aged 6 and 7. So I think then I was always interested in writing words, to be honest. Yeah. And then then that moved into being in bands in school and stuff like that. And then I think I probably started writing songs when 14 or 15, probably quite with an intention to write a song, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. What about the sort of, because you've played in bands before. Have you always been someone who writes on acoustic, or have you always thought like a member of a band in other circumstances?
It's really funny, even though I've always been in bands in the past, and so my mindset was always to write with the intention of a band playing the song, and that hasn't really changed because I like to play with bands, but I think ultimately it always ends up being a song that I can sit and play on my own regardless, because it has to be. I took the choice to kind of to do this under my own name just simply because I got tired of people leaving the band, or just trying to find new
musical differences is what you're talking about.
Well, it is, but there's a little bit of that, but also I think there's a really funny kind of psychology around the whole thing that if you don't put too much pressure on people to be in a band, they almost they're okay to come in and out, and I'm okay for them to come in and out too. So for me, it's okay, because if somebody says, "Oh, I can't do that gig," then it makes me think a little bit differently. Okay, I might just do that with piano and double bass this time if the drummer can't do it. And so it actually, if anything, it's kind of it's opened up the way that I approach doing gigs.
I empathise. I mean, my band is called the Movable Feast for the very same reason.
Totally.
When I first came back to Manchester in 2014, very shortly after that, I had a residency in Manchester, and still doing all my own stuff. Yeah. And it was a different band every week. I had about 5 different drummers, about I think 6 different bass players, 4 different keyboard players, and a sax player. And after the gig one night, some guy came over and said, "What's really good set, man? What's the band called?" And I went, Rowland Jones is, and my wife said, "It's a bit of a movable feast, really, isn't it?" And I said, "That's it, Rowland and the Movable Feast."
I've never heard that expression before, the movable feast. It's It's interesting. It's good, and it's a very apt way of looking at it, because the hardest thing to do, as we know, sometimes is keep these situations together, and.
Especially these days.
It's never been harder. But I just think that, the more kind of, I don't know, the more solo you can be, the better. Because I can just jump in my car and go and do a gig wherever, and that kind of keeps me happy. So
yeah.
But I love having the guys around me as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I think it's a different way of. I mean, to look at the other extreme. You know, a band like Queen, for example. A lot of their stuff was. I mean, great songs, but at the same time, they were built for arrangements rather than. It'd be tricky to sit down and play some of those on an acoustic guitar.
Absolutely, they were built with those certain things.
Or somebody
happening.
like 10cc, somebody like that. You know, this very heavily structured stuff. And I mean, for me, I'm very much like you in the sense that it's like, well, it's a song.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I'm a big Pink Floyd fan, and there's a great David Gilmour DVD where he hosted a Meltdown concert in 2002, I think, for Robert Wyatt, and he opens up with "Shine on You Crazy Diamond" on an acoustic guitar, and uses swell pedals and things like that to kind of create that, you know. And so there are ways around it, but I mean, you know, I know exactly what you're saying. It just, I think like that, like Gilmour doing that, it forces you into different places that you've maybe never been before.
Yeah. Have you done anything stuff like that with loop pedals and stuff?
No, I think I got a little bit scared of using loop pedals when they were all the rage, just because I think everyone's using them, but again, when you approach writing a song, you have to have songs that are very repetitive in order to be able to do it. So you try to steer away from that because, you know, it kind of limits the songwriting process, if you like. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like that to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've used them on a couple of songs, but it's you know, I'd rather have a drummer or a bass player with me.
I agree. You know, I agree.
So, what are you going to start off with? What are you going to
we could do. I'll do the first track off the new album, which is called "This Town."
Yeah.
Oh, that's not going to fit over my headphones.
I don't think so. No.
Oh well, there we go. It started. It's, you know, I do all it needs is a pair of cymbals between my knees. Oh Lord. Hold on a sec.
It's like me when I go for a walk in the morning, because I've got a mask on, I've got my headphones on, I've got a hat on and my glasses on, and I guarantee one of them's not. I've not switched the headphones on, so I'm like.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I keep forgetting to put my mask on and going in shops, and people keep looking at me funny, but I keep having to apologise. Here we go then. It's called "This Town." This town, you gotta see their light. In this town, you gotta help them fight. In this town, you gotta own the pain. In this town, you feel. In this town, you batten down your doors. In this town, you stand and defend your shores. In this town, you better know you're sure. In this town, you die. You can parade in the shadow, mediocrity. Chase the light of day with your fantasies. Don't take this as a joke or even parody. In this town, you roll. You better know your friend and know your foe. You better test the water with your toe. You better realize one day you'll go. What was you ready for? The time you have, it just spins and spins. From the force that reveals its sins. You'll be angry when it all sinks in. This town took your soul. You can parade in the shadow, mediocrity. Misuse the light in your fantasy. Don't take this as a joke or even parody. In this town you roam. count the times that you suffice. The ones you shunned, but your souls are gone. In this town you're on. There is a page of this book. There are a number of angles you could look. It's surprising how long it took for it came to this. Separating your sense of mediocrity. Misuse the light of your fantasies. Don't take this as a joke or even parody. In this town you're on. 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 Oh. Yeah. All right. Sound okay?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
It's a little bit of it's still a little bit of delay in it, which is causing that little bit of
SOS. I don't know what that is. I can't.
It's one of the mysteries of modern technology.
Well, we're all getting used to this, aren't we?
Yeah. It's but it's the best we can do. But at least it enables us to do this. That's the major thing about it. What about it's the age old question, words first or music first or both?
Sometimes they come together, and then that the words for that were, I had the words kicking around for a while. I'd had some of the words kicking around for a while, and then I finished it off. And I think I'd had the music longer, but then I kind of put the two together from a little few little lines that I'd written, and then continued with that. I think a lot of the lyrics for this new album were very at the time. They're all very, very much about everything that's been going on over the last few years. So they're very current for me.
What about do you have a sort of set writing regime, or do you just write when the idea comes? For me, it's the sort of comparison between if you read anything about the people who were working in the Brill building in the 50s and the 60s, they'd go in, sit in their little cubicle all day with a guitar or a piano and write songs, and they'd write one every day and think, yeah, that'll do, or that's horrible. And other people will, I don't know, like Dylan or whoever, I suspect never did any of that, and he just sort of wrote when he wanted to write.
I think it can be, well, it can be different. It depends how you'd want to treat it. I mean, I treat these songs as forms of my expression of how I see things. So, if I wanted to start writing songs as a job, which I don't see this as, then it would be different, So if I was going in, I reckon I could probably easily get into that thing of going into a room for 9 to 5, like a lot of those guys used to, and sitting down and just writing songs. But I don't think I'd want to. I think I quite enjoy when I get that feeling of, or a line, or that feeling of inspiration, just to go. Yeah,
I'm very, very much with you on that. I mean, do you know Ben Williams from Manchester?
No.
He started at the beginning of the of lockdown, and wrote a song a day,
right, for
a month.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, all power to his elbow, or whatever the expression is. I mean, he's a very sort of precise sort of guy. And he did it religiously, and every by the end of every day, he'd put a song out.
Wow.
And think he was pretty. I've not spoken to him since actually, but I think he's pretty exhausted after 30.
He's probably been having a lie down since.
Yeah, in a darkened room.
I mean, yeah, it's a hard. That's a slog to put yourself under that, because also I find that sometimes if you I've tried to do it in the past where right, I'm going to go in today, I'm going to write a song, and then if you don't write a song, then you're putting too much pressure on yourself, and then you start beating yourself up, and you start saying, I can't write songs anymore. I mean, I'm bad enough for that anyway. So until
most of us are.
Yeah, until a new song comes along, it's like that's it. My career's sort of finished. I've finished before I've started, and but to put yourself under that pressure really is it.
There was a thing I was reading last week in the paper when it was talking about pandemic guilt, and it was basically saying, I think it's absolutely right, that at the beginning of the lockdown, there were lots of people saying, right, I'm going to write my great novel, or I'm going to, I don't know, build a garage or an extension to the house, or like one guy built a yacht in his front room.
Wow.
And yeah,
and then couldn't get it out.
Yeah, exactly. And then very shortly after that, within about, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, there were articles saying, well, don't feel guilty about it if you haven't written your great work. And people kept quoting this thing about Shakespeare having written King Lear during the plague and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people, and I've spoken to a couple of people about it, and they said they felt the same. Hang on, I just noticed the door opening. Is that the
No, that's my door.
No. Just
oh, your door. My door just opened as well.
That is spooky. I think it was the cat coming.
Oh, it was my cat. So there we go. It's the cat. It's always the cats.
It is always the cats. That's so true. They get everywhere, and they always look disapproving. So it was saying about this thing now that people are thinking, well, damn, I should have been able to do something. And at the same time think, well, why put yourself under that pressure? Because I'm like you, I did once, I recorded an album 3 years ago, and it was going to be an EP to start with. And we put the basic tracks down for the 6 tunes. And then I decided I was going to make, 5, that's right. And then I decided I was going to go an album, and I was going away on holiday for 3 weeks. So I had 3 weeks to finish off another 5 songs. And that was enough for me, to be honest. That was too stressful.
Yeah. Plus, I think the way I always find, if you try to write too many songs within one space of time, they all tend to be pretty much the same song.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. I mean, I know you can obviously try and change, but I try to write things that how I'm reacting on that particular day, or how I'm reacting in that particular week. So for me, I just thought, whenever they come along, and then I just try not to stress about it too much, really, which is hard, which is easier said than done.
Yeah. I think the other thing for me also is that I at that particular album, I recorded, say, 7 of the songs on it were things that had been written virtually to go on that album, and I actually quite like performing songs before I actually record them.
Okay,
about you,
just to get the feel of them.
Yeah, get the feel. And sometimes I don't know what you find it, but sometimes I think, well, all right, actually, I don't like that bridge. It doesn't do anything to it, and I'll just stick to that, and then that works. Because otherwise, you record something and you think, no, I should have done.
Yeah,
we always think that anyway, don't we?
Well, yeah. I mean, also, there's nothing like the kind of, the realization of sitting down with the band and playing them a song, and then all of a sudden you think to yourself, oh, I wish I'd written this better. Because sometimes when you're sat on your own, you're either your own worst enemy, or you kind of think everything you do is great, and it's only the moments when you play it to other people. So sometimes, I mean, with this new album, we only did the one rehearsal, and then we went in and we cut everything live. So everything you hear with the apart from the odd overdub, we cut everything live. So it was more of a, when I played the songs through with the guys, it was more of a process of elimination for me as well, of what songs I liked and which songs I didn't, and then I recorded them, and then I sent them to Ethan, and then Ethan chose the ones that he wanted to go with. Well, I mean, there was still there was obviously a theme to what I wanted to sing around as well. So there was more of a, we kind of sketched out or Ethan had sketched out how he wanted to do it. So I think I think it's always quite nice when other people have then listen to it and you can see their expressions, or you can see how happy they might be after you played that song through the first time, and you can judge it. You can judge it then.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether they're yawning or not.
Yeah.
So go on in. Play us another one.
Okay.
Whichever album you want.
Okay, whatever album I want. Let's think. You caught me unawares. I'll do another new one. I mean, might as well. I mean, this is my only platform to get those songs out there to people.
Absolutely, do them. Go for it, mate.
Okay, this is a song called Conundrum. There's no method in your manuscript. If you're searching for a soul to find, see, I recognize the daily struggle with your mind. Cause at least there's no conundrum. Definition, it's just you. There's no reason for you certain now. There's no turning back. Take love from this world, leave somewhere to go. There's no secret. On this world alone, trying to leave it better off than you. Doctors every reason, so they don't just take part. It's like some effervescent punch of potion. You will swallow me without reaction. I can stand it out of my review. There's no weakness in the lack of knowledge we've consumed. There's no turning back. Take love from this world, try to leave somewhere to go. There's no secret back. On this world alone, try to leave it better off than you. They still put this on you. That made there's no turning back. Take love from this world, try to leave somewhere to go. There's no secret back. On this road alone, try to leave it better off. There's no turning back. Take love from this world, try to leave something to go. There's no secret back. There's no turning back. Take love from this world, try to leave somewhere to go. There's no secret back. On this world alone, try to leave it there all.
You just listen to your stuff today. Is that you're very you've got great hooks in your choruses.
Thanks.
Always. Do you? And I don't know. I get the feeling that you often start from the chorus, in the sense of that.
Yeah, some songs do. It's really funny, actually. I'd started working on a new song just prior to the lockdown and everything, and then I'd completely forgotten about it. And as I do, sometimes when I'm walking, I go through my phone and I listen back to things that have been, jotting down, and you go through the rubbish, delete.
Yeah.
And but I got to this song that I'd started working on. I was like, oh, okay. And then it's funny how sometimes you feel that songs that you've kind of got to the end of, that it just happened really quickly. But I must have listened to about 3 hours worth of me wailing on. And I was thinking to myself, get to the chorus. What's the matter with you? It's obvious. The chorus is right there. And then, and I kept not doing the chorus every time I was listening to these recordings. And so it surprised me even how long I'd spent looking around for that right chorus, because I'd gone around all these different things. And I think sometimes it's about, if I can't find that right chorus or that right melody, I go away. And there's a story about Fran Healy from Travis, where he said that he was stuck on Why Will It Always Rain on Me? Why Does It Always Rain on Me? And he said he went off and did the dishes, and then the chorus came to him then. And I think it's similar. I tend to, if I'm getting frustrated by it, I tend to put the guitar down and I tend to just go and do something really boring. And then what happens is that melody keeps going around your mind, and then all of a sudden something jumps in and you go, oh, you run back and you pick your guitar up. So that's kind of, I tend to do a little bit of that, really.
It makes sense. There's quite an interesting theory about what you're saying there, not in terms of music, but in terms of like doing something boring. Because I was reading something, and there's some research that they've done, and I write everything. I don't type. I mean, I put it into a computer, but I always everything. Pen, pen.
Yeah.
And the thing about doodling, apparently there is a function that what the doodling does is that it distracts the part of your brain that can't concentrate. So the part of your brain that wants to go off and do something else rather than what you're trying to do is distracted by the doodling. And I think that's the same. I mean,
I agree with that. Yeah.
This morning we were talking about we're actually talking about the Bonzo Dog Band, and neither Leslie nor myself could remember the singer's name. And I said, I don't want to Google this. I should know this. This is something I should have. And she said, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So I went off and did the dishes. Yeah. And halfway through the third plate, I went, substantial. And because sometimes that needs that. But the thing about like letting things, again, this comes back to my thing about like sort of playing a song in. There's a song from which I'm sure you must know, from the, I suppose it's from the 1930s, where the chorus is "I'll be loving you always," right? Well, apparently when he wrote that, now if you listen to it, it's such that it's got to be the right word for it, but he couldn't get that word. And for 18 months, he got as far as "I'll be loving you," and couldn't go any further.
Sometimes.
Forever or whatever. And he apparently 18 months it was that he couldn't find it. But you listen to it now and it's like, well, it's bloody obvious, really, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I was just going to say, it's, pretty much every pop song from boy bands I've had the same line in, ever since. So it's his fault.
It is his fault. Yeah.
I mean, I try to stay away from those kind of. It's another interesting thing, isn't it? Those lines must have seemed like, they must have seemed fairly groundbreaking to talk about love within songs in the 1930s. And I remember somebody talking about a similar thing about Roy Orbison, because Roy Orbison like kind of wore his heart on his sleeve in terms of, being a man at that point in the 50s. You were meant to be like kind of macho and tough, and he was singing about love, and he was singing about losing and losing love and all of it, and crying, crying over you, and and somebody pointed out that that was the difference between him and some of the other songwriters, that he was appealing to a completely different audience by writing these, and it was almost groundbreaking in the way that he was writing those lyrics from that perspective of a man, So it's interesting.
Certainly looking back to the sort of like the Great American Songbook. I mean, I can't think whether it was Gershwin one of the Gershwins said it, but described the work of a songwriter as being saying "I love you" in 32 bars, and that's as far as I went with that, really. But no, it's quite an interesting.
Or I hate you in 32 bars.
well, as that, I mean, not all, but many of the songs from that era are that sort of structure.
Absolutely,
AABA structure. So it's that's what they were working at. Got into it.
Should we do it? I mean, is it sounding okay? I mean, you said there's a little bit of delay. Is it okay?
Yeah, no. There's the delay. Obviously, there's a delay between the image and the sound as well. There's a little bit, but
we're okay.
Yeah. We're definitely okay. We're more than okay, mate. Yeah.
Oh, good. I do know the song off the new album. It's a song called the Ending. It was a co-write with a Nashville singer-songwriter that I happened to be in a songwriting retreat with, and we wrote this song together, and it's called The Ending. So there we go. Doesn't care who you are, doesn't know your name. Have to play it out wrong way. Think we know our past, you only know today. Have to play it out wrong way. Love has a way of mending. Love has a way. Love has a way. Nobody knows the ending. Life is tore us apart. What we feel is still real. No time in life pretending. Have to pick up the phone. Have to send a mail. How we to know, even if we fail. Love has a way of mending. Love has a way. Love has a way. Nobody knows the ending. It holds you. It heals you, protects you in times of pain, and moves you when you are still and silent. Love has a way. Love has a way. Nobody knows the ending. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows the ending.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the plan in terms of albums? When did the The new one, when did that come out? Was it the end of last year, was it?
No, it was February. It was
Was it February? All right.
Yeah, February the 14th, came out on Valentine's Day, just to rub it in. So yeah, it's been, you know, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a shame that I couldn't get out and tour it, but I've been doing Facebook Lives from home and plenty of like these kind of things, and I still managed to do a lot of the kind of phone interviews and stuff. But so the album's been really well received. I'm kind of really happy with the way it's gone, especially over in Germany and Holland and Norway and Sweden and Spain, places like that. It's gone down really well.
So I mean, it must be difficult. I mean, I don't know how you can plan what you're going to do next, really, because I mean, you know, the idea of the album and promoting it by actually touring is out the window at them. Certainly for the next 6 months, I would have thought. Definitely.
I mean, everything I had a tour that was planned for March into April, and then that was cancelled and pushed back to October, and then that's now being pushed back to February next year. So I suppose it's just a case of everything getting pushed back until it actually happens, really.
Was that just it for the UK, that tour?
Yeah, well, UK and some Scottish dates as well, and I was also meant to be going over to Germany and the States and stuff, so it's a bit of a shame, but, you know, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. If it was due to illness, I'd be sat at home feeling really sorry for myself. But there's not. Everyone's in the same boat. There's nothing you can do. So you just kind of embrace it, really.
Yeah. It's there's very little we can do apart from stay safe and wear masks.
Absolutely.
As far as I can see.
Absolutely, mate.
What about influences? Who do you listen to?
I listen to a lot of different stuff. I mean, I said before, I'm a big Pink Floyd fan. I kind of like the way, you know, again, like people like Roger Waters, he was like greatly influenced by, you know, people like John Prine and Neil Young and all that type of stuff. And then obviously I grew up with a lot. My dad's a big country fan, and mum listened to Elvis and there was Beatles and all that. So there's all kinds of different music around all of the time. So, but I'm like a massive Neil Finn fan. I think he's just one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Obviously, being from Liverpool, you can't help the Beatles thing, can you? You can try and run away from it for as long as you can, but you can't.
You can't
really.
be immune from that, can you?
No, but lots of. I think, you know, Neil Young's another great one. Obviously, people like Dylan. But it's very eclectic and very, you know, I listen to a lot of different stuff, but it all comes down to the same thing, really, for me. If they write good songs, if they write songs that appeal to me, then I'll listen to it. I don't really care, you know. It's
quite interesting how the that era of music, which you're describing in a sense, you know, at the roots of it is goes back to the 60s and the 70s. You know, people like Pink Floyd and Neil Young, etc. But it's funny how those people have had a much greater influence on what's happening today and the people who are doing things today than maybe music from the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And I mean, I found it when we lived in Italy, I had a lot of guitar students, and they were like, you know, 18, 19 years old. And every now and then they'd want to do something by Green Day, but most of the time they wanted to do Neil Young songs or Cat Stevens. And the other big one out there was Creedence Clearwater Revival. Were massive in Italy. Yeah, exactly. It's funny, isn't it? I think there was a real lull, wasn't there, in the 80s? A lot of these, you know, even Neil Young was completely out of favour in the 80s, wasn't he? People like that, and a lot of these people that we're talking about, they kind of had the dip, and then the resurgence of band, you know, like kind of guitar music in the 90s kind of lifted everyone, brought everyone back into listening to some of these guys. And actually, as you quite rightly say, they have more influence now, and they're probably more popular now than they've ever been, really. If you think about it, I mean, I was just watching some of the Roger Waters tour that he did last 2 years ago or whatever it was, and I was lucky enough to we supported him in Hyde Park, and but you know, he toured, you know, some of the gigs he did, like 3 nights in Mexico, and it was like 300,000 people, and you look in the crowd and it's kids, it's not absolutely, it's not
60 people in the kind of 60s, 70s around that same age as him, it's kids, you know, and they're getting into this, so that kind of inspires me in the way that the type of music that he was writing, especially Dark Side through to kind of Animals and the Wall, that type of song that he was writing still appeals to people. So for me, that inspires me to still keep writing songs that are either about, you know, outside things that go on in our lives or things that happen, you know, because you know, I tend to think a lot of music just has become fairly drab for me, but I like songwriting.
I think also the way people are writing is a lot different. I mean, you know, if there's people like, I don't know, Rihanna or people like that, their songs are often written by teams.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are more arrangement than song.
Yeah, and production as well. They're production heavy. It's like, you know, rather than write the song and take it into the studio, it's like write the song in the studio and let's produce the hell out of it and then see if we get a song at the end of it, you know. I think, I mean, look, everyone to their own. You know, I don't want to ever become one of those kind of bitter songwriters that sits around and moans about what other people do. I just prefer to focus on what I do, and I'm just glad that there seems to still be an audience out there that want to listen to miserable singer-songwriter music. You know,
listen, I grew up with all that. I know about that stuff.
Exactly. You know, what are you going to do?
But it's I mean, I'm not sort of not knocking what goes on today, apart from Kanye West. But,
he's knocking himself, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. His crap about guitars. We're not going to agree with that in a million years. No. But this notion that things are written or created, shall we say, in a studio by a bunch of people is quite different to you sitting at home and writing a song, or Roger Waters sitting at home writing a song, or Neil Young. You know, it's a different approach to things.
Yeah, also because I you know, I mean, I just said there at the ending that was a co-write, but you know, that's the first co-write I've ever had on an album, but the song was just too good to not record because, you know, again, sometimes with when somebody gives you an idea for a song, I mean, I sat with James and he kind of went, I haven't got any ideas, I haven't got any lyrics, I've just got a title. And he said the ending, and I just instantly started thinking Everly Brothers, Roy Orbison, and then I was kind of away, and I think within 40 minutes it was written, and I think it was just one of those songs that flies out sometimes. There's no explanation for it. It just comes out, and it was almost like James's role within that song was to almost guide me to not be either too cheesy or not to be too this or that, you know. So sometimes just the elements of somebody else in the room can quicken up the process. But going back to like people like Neil Young and Roger Waters, they would be horrified if they thought that somebody was, you know, manipulating what they wanted to say within the song, as would I, you know. Because it's just, for me, it's the most personal thing you can do.
I think there's I mean, a huge leap between co-writing with two people in a room with a couple of guitars and a team of people in a studio creating it on the day.
Oh, 100%. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know, even a co-write sometimes can feel like as if you're cheating yourself, really. But actually, you know, so I've had some really great times co-writing with people as well, because it's made me look at myself as well as a songwriter, and to sometimes not be so precious, because somebody might be going, you know, you've got to sometimes allow somebody to go with something if they've got an idea, and you're like, even though you're not feeling it at first, it's like, okay, you've got to go with it and you've got to kind of see it through. And you know, I've come to the end of it and I've gone, I'm really, really glad that we saw that song through, because it's come out really well. So it's taught me that actually don't be so impulsive about an idea and just go and just, you know, to throw it away. Sometimes you just have to run with that idea and see where it goes. Because, you know, again, like, you can listen back to songs that you've been writing. And as I say, the little warblings on my phone, you can llisten back to it. When it starts out, it sounds like the worst thing in the world. You're thinking, how did you ever cling on to that idea of a song? And it grows into this song eventually. So
I did a clean out of my phone a couple of months ago, because I realized the whole thing was getting slower and slower, and I found 195 video clips.
Wow.
Of various chord progressions and potential hook lines and things. Most of it are just binned completely. I mean,
I can barely stand to listen to myself coming back. Never mind watch myself do it. You know, it's just bad enough that I'm on the screen.
Oh, well, the thing about it, I tend to video them rather than just record the audio.
Yeah, just in case you forget.
Well, yeah, because sometimes they were thinking, well, what the hell was that? Was it a major ninth with a demolished fifth in it?
Oh no! Listen, man, if I play a G minor, I'm getting well out of my comfort zone. So I can remember the chords that I'm playing. It's just move the cap up and down the neck. You know?
All right. Excellent. Okay, do you want to do some more of the album? Go
Yeah,
for it.
why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what should I do. Let's make sure this is.
We're like having a private concert here. This is good.
Well, I mean, we might be. Is there many people watching?
Well, the last couple have been around 3,000, so
That's good.
So at least there's Leslie downstairs and your missus down.
Yeah,
There's at least 4 of us.
So with this song, I've got these little stickers on my guitar, and it's when the kids come home from school, if they've hurt themselves, and it says, "I was hurt today, I'm all right now." And I've been collecting them up. I've got them everywhere in here. You can't see them, but they're everywhere. And so I thought, well, that sounds like a miserable enough line for me to write a song about. So I chased this song for about 6 years, as we were saying before, with this lyric and this kind of trying to get this. I'd written one song and I completely trashed it, and then I got rid of that, and then I thought I gave this one a go. So this is called "I Was Hurt Today, But I'm All Right Now." Now I'll take your broken window, fix it with the things you find. Now I'll take your running fight and find the fuel that helps you through. I will read your unread messages. No one had the time to me. I will dry your running eyes. No one is around. So please don't leave me. I'm not around. So please don't leave me. I'm not around. I was hurt today, I was hurt today, I was hurt. I will take a perfect sunset, paint it on your wall. I will fake the banker's signature, bring you home spoils. I will take our condensated windows, turn them into suites. I will take your broken nightmares and turn them into dreams. So please don't leave me. I'm not around. So please don't leave me. I'm not around. I was hurt today, I'm all right now. I was hurt today, I'm all right now. I was hurt, I'm all right now. See me leave me. Now I'm not around. But I was hurt today morning. I was hurt today morning. I was hurt morning.
Nice. Lovely
Thanks, man.
stuff. Great. Yeah. So, any other plans for? Have you got songs in the pipeline?
Yeah.
You think, or are you still erasing them off your phone?
I'm going through them. I'm working through them. I did have a kind of a moment about a month ago where again I kind of I thought I can't write songs anymore, and then lo and behold they just started coming again. So yeah, I've started writing. I've started kind of getting ideas down, and something's starting to formulate. Something's starting to make its way into the world. I don't know what it'll be about yet, but we'll see. I'll have a moan about something.
There's it's quite interesting listening to your songs in the sense that they don't. There's a sort of they're not pessimistic. They're optimistic.
Yeah.
In quite a sort of
miserable way.
No, it's sort of pitched somewhere there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's going to be okay, but not quite yet.
Yeah, you've got to go.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I think you're right actually. Because I think it's that thing of knowing that, almost even becoming a songwriter, you've got to in a certain way to write these type of songs. You've got to go through it to write about it. So it's writing about how these things. I mean, that song in a way. I was here today, but I'm all right now. It could sound like somebody helping somebody else, but I wrote it from the perspective of, we all have those days where sometimes you've got to pick yourself up, and it's the kind of the other part of your brain saying to you, "Now, come on, get out and just got to get on with it." And so sometimes, but it still has an ambiguity that means that it can appeal to anyone in any way. So. There's I think to quote Half Man Half Biscuit, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not the oncoming train.
Oh, what a great band! What a great! Is it the only band ever to refuse to appear on Top of the Pops because Tranmere Rovers were playing at home?
It was the Tube.
Was it the Tube? Oh, damn!
It was the Tube. No, I tell you why, because it was funny. I was listening to a radio show recently, and there's a couple of guys on Radio 5 Live, and one of them recently got into Half Man Half Biscuit, and the other dude who was on with him couldn't believe that he'd never listened to them before. Yeah, and he said the same thing. He found out that I think it was the Tube. Somebody will probably write in and say it wasn't, but I thought it was because it was Jules Holland.
But they're still going.
Yeah, they're still going. Yeah.
Because after I had this conversation with somebody else, because I always thought that All I Want for Christmas is a Dukla Prague Away kit. It's the only song inspired by Sabutio. I think it's just marvelous.
I think some of the titles you just could not make.
Back on the DHSS is a killer.
Genius.
Fantastic.
Genius. I think it was.
I don't think I've ever had a conversation with somebody who actually knew who Half Man Half Biscuit were before. I knew the guy who managed them for a while.
Oh right, okay.
Guy from Manchester, and this would have been in the 80s.
Well, of course, I've got a friend of mine who's just been at his house. Actually, I was helping him move a few things because he's just been great. And he a guy called Gareth Jones, and he engineered some of their albums in the early days. He with Jeff Davis, who was the producer from Liverpool. Jeff, the famous and infamous Jeff Davis. He's a sweetheart, but he's got some great stories. He goes on with himself great stories about Half Man Half Biscuit. But what a band! And Nige still writes and he still does his thing. I mean, I've never met him or professed to know him at all, but it's just genius. It's genius, He's the songs, as you say, the title.
Just such a brilliant name for a band, such a brilliant album title, and great.
Well, every song's got that kind of same thing, hasn't it? It's got that same bonkers theme going on.
Well, I don't think I was talking to somebody about this the other day. There's who was I talking about? there's a certain quirkiness to British songwriters. An American band couldn't have written that.
No, I agree.
They wouldn't have had the... And I can't think of what we were talking about. I mean, you know, in the 70s, late 70s, there was a band in Manchester called Alberto y los Trios Paranoias, who were a comedy band, and they were just extraordinary. But it was such a sort of British sense of humour, a bit like the Bonzos I mentioned before, you know.
Yeah, and there's you just reminded me of the backup band that backed Nick Lowe called Lost Straitjackets, is it? Oh, they're brilliant. They come out with, you know, those like kind of Mexican wrestling masks on.
Yeah.
Do the whole gig and they're all very serious, and then they'd be like, you know, they do all of these crazy things throughout his set, and it's almost like you've got Nick Lowe being really cool at the front and just being dead serious, and they're all being a bit wacky, and then he goes off and they do a few songs and it's just craziness, but they're absolutely brilliant. If you ever get a chance to go and see Nick Lowe, oh man, or just even see them, I'm sure they'll come around to Manchester on the road.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But, you know, I think you're right about the British songwriter, that they don't take themselves. They do take themselves seriously, but they can allow a little bit of that, you know, that irony, and sometimes with songwriting or silliness, and you have to allow to be able to laugh at yourself. Whereas in, you know, and it's no disrespect to American songwriters at all, but it tends to be very serious. And I toured with Beth Nielsen Chapman, and she actually says that on stage. She says that, you know, American songwriters, they are all very, you know, they're very serious about what they do, but they don't allow that element of I'm sure we're generalising massively here, but you know, there is an English, there is a British.
Interestingly enough, though, I watched an old episode of QI last night, and one of the team members was the singer frontman from American band. The guy who always wears the white mask. Is it Limp Bizkit? I can't remember.
Oh,
is it?
I know what you mean.
Like real heavy metal band, you know.
Yeah,
and he was very, very funny and took the mick out of himself, and you know.
Did he have his mask on?
Sorry?
Did he have his mask on?
No.
Because I don't think we've seen these guys without their masks, have we? I know what you mean. I just can't think of the name of the band. What are they called? Yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway,
it was him, and in fairness, he did sort of enter into the spirit of the thing, you know, and he was very funny. But I think in the main, the ones that sort of, I mean, they were silly bands, I suppose, silly American bands, I suppose.
The Monkees.
Hey,
Monkees. But they were half British as well, weren't they?
They were half British anyway, weren't they? Yeah. So, listen, it's been wonderful talking to you. Would you like to do one more song before you finish?
Why not? Why not? What shall I do? What shall I leave us with? I'd say I'd leave you with a happy one, but I don't know any happy ones.
I've just looked at my phone, and I've just got a message here from the woman we've got coming in from New York.
Oh, no.
What time is it? What time is it? I hope she's got the right date.
She thinks she's coming on now.
5 hours too late.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong month.
Right, so what should we finish up? Should we finish with? Let me see.
Whatever you like, mate. Whatever you like.
Okay. Well, I always finish my set with a song called Demons.
Yeah.
And let's do that. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. And it'll be nice to catch up in real when we can.
Yes, definitely. That'd be lovely.
But yeah, here we go.
Excellent.
When you're facing your demons, when you fall to the floor, with no particular reason, you just know that you want more. When you're fighting to see what you know is in your sights, and you're treading in deep water just to try to make it right. tears you apart. And you know, and you know, and you know, and you know, and you know that it's not hard. When you're faced with decisions that can go to a fro, and you know that you must make them choose right once and for all. When you're out of your depth, on the tips of your toes, and the bluff's almost up, and your wood is just froze. The silence surrounds you. We'll close it off your escape. And you know, and you know, and you know, and you know, and you know that you're okay. When you put in position, you can't abide. So you turn to your good friends, but they take different sides. When you're facing your demons, when you fall to the floor, with no particular reason, you just know you want to know. When the fear it grabs you, and then it tears you apart. Then you know, and you know, and you know, and you know, and you know that it's not hard. And the silence surrounds you, closing off your escape. Then you know, and you know, and you know, and you know, and you know that you're okay. When you're facing your demons, when you're facing your demons.
Excellent.
Thanks, man.
That was brilliant. By the way, it was Slipknot.
Ah!
I cheated. I googled it. It's been lovely having you, mate. Having you in, and hopefully we'll do it again
That'd be
sometime.
really nice.
And we'll definitely meet up for a face-to-face chat
Face-to-face.
when it's allowed. Yeah,
Hopefully with a beer and a gig, eh?
absolutely. Yes.
Sorry, man.
Not necessarily in that order, but it'll do for me. Great. Cheers, man. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Fantastic. What a good man. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So I've just had a message through from one of our guests for September, and of course the thing was that because she's American, she writes the date and the month and the day the wrong way. Well, not the wrong way around, the other way around. And I looked at it, I thought, God, I hope she hasn't got the wrong. Anyway, it's all right. It's okay. So great session. Thanks a lot to Robert for that. I'm going to finish off with a tune. This is an album I'm just gonna kind of relaunch. I recorded it a couple of years ago, and it got quite a lot of airplay in Warsaw for some reason. I've no idea why, and in Cape Town, the title track. Where else was it? And Ohio. And now there's another band we didn't think about. Akron, Ohio. Are we not men? We are Devo. So this is called New Start, New Day. waking every morning, such a scary thing for me. Afraid to see the empty space, the one where you used to be. Come down to breakfast, no appetite for food. Make a pot of coffee, realize I made enough for two. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something to take my breath away. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. Pick up a paper, catch the bus. No particular hurry, nothing matters very much. Find my way without thinking, arrive at my desk. Like I said, nothing matters much. I just couldn't care less. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. Eat a burger on my own, lunchtimes ain't much fun. Watching people holding hands, remember when we were one. Stay late at the office, it's easier that way. But get on me to cry myself to sleep, just another perfect day. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I know that I can't go on living my life this way. No rhyme, no reason, just an endless day to day. Something gonna have to change, I'm gonna have to change something in me. But please don't say those words I hate, that there's plenty more fish in the sea. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. Looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. Take my breath away. Take my breath away. So thanks everybody for dropping in. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And next week we've got, let me remind myself quickly, we've got that man from down south. Yes, it's Stuart Earle who will be with me next week. So hopefully you can join us again next Tuesday at 6:30. Until then, look after yourselves and stay safe. Okay, cheers.